Hi, this is Eder, and this is my negative rebuttal up against Uriel's affirmative rebuttal. And these are the main four key points that he talked about that I will also be addressing. So, number one is that teachers need to have their annual salaries increased. Number two, that teachers are being laid off and are being replaced by new ones. Number three, dropping out should be illegal. And number four, imprisoning students that drop out. So here's my the first one where teachers need their annual salaries increased. In my negative construct, I was talking about that if someone is being paid to do a crappy job, paying them more won't change a thing. And I've also said that if you're going into the educational field, you aren't going into the field for money. You're actually going there for the educational purposes and teaching new students. And so in his rebuttal, he was talking to me about with higher income there will be an influx of teachers wanting to be teachers. Thus, we would pick the best ones according uh, that would be the best candidates for the job, and that will be more willing for them to teach more, and not necessarily. I mean, why are we increasing wages to find the newer teachers or the best teachers? If it's not really the teachers that are the problem, it's the curriculum that's the problem. Um, it's that where we don't know how to teach students and how they can further their education, how they can better themselves. I mean, a teacher can be really good towards one student, but not necessarily towards the other. So it's not necessarily who is the best teacher in terms of skill wise, it's in terms of how the teacher can approach students and teach them. And then he was also talking about that that the schools are federally funded in terms of for funding these new teachers and not for the community and not community funded. Um, as to where he said where would they get the money from? Because I was talking about how the funding should go back to the communities, and I'm still on on that purpose because then um, parent know what's best for their kids. So I mean, from that point of view, it's not just that they won't be able to afford it because there's not a lot of people within the city. I mean, they can pay their taxes, their wages. I mean, that's how private schools are being funded. And I mean, look at them; they're one of the highest ranking uh, schools ever. I mean, there's Mater Dei, which is doing really good. There's plenty of other ones that are doing just as good as well. So that's where I think that's kind of like not true. The second part is that the teachers are being laid off and are being replaced by new ones. And I said that the old teachers that don't follow the curriculum that's in place, and that's why they're failing. And so in his rebuttal, he's talking about that it's not true because 20 to 30 years ago, the U.S. was ranked highest in the education, and those teachers were most likely teaching back then. So the curriculum that was taught, that taught was still put in place. And he said that it's the new teachers that don't have experience in teaching that's causing the grades to drop. And then I again go on to saying that it's not the new teachers. I mean, and it's also not the old teachers. I mean, they can be teaching the same curriculum, which means that they're teaching the same subject the same way. So it's not really that the newer teachers are bad teachers or they're following the same curriculum. So I'm suggesting that the curriculum should be the one that's being changed. So if anything, we should be funding for a more for a different curriculum in place in terms of how we teach our students English, mathematics, and sciences that will help further instruct these students into succeeding, and workshops in place for teachers, and whether new or old, to teach them the newer skills, the newer ways of approaching these methods since time has changed and technology has evolutionized. So if anything, if the curriculum is still the same from 20 to 30 years ago, that's where I would start that the problem is at. The next thing he was talking about is that it's the new teachers that don't have experience in teaching that's causing the grades to drop. Oh, then that's something I already mentioned before. So, on to number three, where he said that dropping out should be illegal. And I said that dropping out has nothing to do with poverty, since the public schools you don't need so you don't need to pay to enter it. And in his rebuttal said that is wrong. Poverty is the major factor of dropping out. I mean, it says that they can't afford school supplies, and some drop out due to financial reasons in terms of their family struggles. And My rebuttal against that is that that if students are dropping out because they are poor and because they have to drop out because they have to support their family, that's where we should be funding, not necessarily making dropping out illegal, but funding for supplies for students to have. I mean, I know there's already scholarship systems that some schools have that students can apply for, some special programs where they don't necessarily have to pay for school equipment, and there's also financial aid available for them, like that can help support their family as well. So, I mean, there's plenty of other options that are left open that students can take that won't lead them to drop out to school. So, I don't think that dropping out should be illegal. And on to his third point, it was to imprison students from dropping out. And I said that that was cruel and unusual punishment. And he said that it wasn't imprisoning that he was talking about. It was more like doing jail time, like up to a year or so. And I mean, that's still our tax money going to paying for them. And I mean, I still stand on the same, on my same clauses. As I still believe it's cruel and unusual punishment, and we don't need it. It's against our rights, and that's it. I mean, thank you.